Hey everybody, it's Skylar with Wonderful Memories, and today I have my good friend Anna with me. We are actually friends from high school. She is now currently living in Belgium, and she has traveled all over Europe. So everyone, please welcome Anna.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Anna, tell me a little bit about how you even ended up in Europe in the first place.
So my first Europe trip, I guess, was in high school when we did our senior trip. And we did 2 weeks in Europe. So I was a grade above Skylar at this point, so we didn't get to travel together. But then I think that kind of sparked, the want to like travel and explore something else outside of Virginia. And so I did a study abroad year, or it was actually only a semester, so it was 4 months in my junior year of college. And then that really, took
So where did you go?
I studied in France. It was in the southeast of France in the mountains in a smaller town called Chambéry. And that was amazing. It was like there are beautiful lakes and mountains, and the French, it was my first integration into the French language and culture. I had obviously a very good experience because then I ended up moving back after college, working as a language assistant. So I was teaching English to French middle schoolers. And then that led to me doing my master's in Belgium, which then led to me getting a job in Belgium. So
that's amazing. Yeah. Let's start with France. So you studied abroad. What was it like studying abroad versus when you moved to work with and be an au pair and teach English? Yeah,
very, very different experience. First off, study abroad is amazing. I would highly recommend that to anyone who wanted to do it. A lot of universities have really great programs, so it's fairly easy to, get in there.
And if you don't want to do it during the semester, for the whole 3 months, you can do it during the summer as well. So they do have shorter programs, or even during winter term, which is only a month. So if you do want to get just a little taste of it, you can even choose a shorter option.
Yeah, my university also had winter term, so it's nice. It was different because, you're living there. In most programs, you're with other international students. So that's how I met a ton of other people from all over Europe, who I'm still very close with today. At least once a year we do a reunion, and we come from all over Europe and we meet in one central point.
She even got to visit one when we were in Vienna a couple weeks ago. So.
Yeah. You're just together with people. You're experiencing just everything is new. You're experiencing new people from different cultures, different language, different food, which is so good. And in France, cheese, bread, wine, all this stuff. And so I was 20 at the time. Just nice to get out of your comfort zone a bit. I mean, at first it can be really scary and everything's strange, but in the end you learn so much, you grow, and then you go home and you take what you've learned with you, and the people that you met and the experiences you had.
So talk about French culture. My personal experience with France, I love France, don't get me wrong, they are a tougher group of people to get along with as, a native English speaker. For someone who studied Spanish instead of French, how do you encourage other people to go to France when they have a little bit of a clouded mind of the culture?
I think most people, when they think about France, the first thing they think about is Paris, Eiffel Tower. And Paris is nice, for some people it has that charm of everything you see in paintings and whatever. But I highly recommend that you kind of venture away from Paris. France is so big. It's obviously not as big as America, but it's a really big country, and every region, every town is so different, and the food and whatever. So first tip, I would definitely say to try to learn a few words in French because it's very nice. I will say it's more likely that people don't speak a lot of English, maybe a few words, but if you can at least say hello, my name is, simple things, where are the bathroom, some basics. And when they see that you try, some people might immediately switch to English, but other people might appreciate that you're speaking French a bit. Or trying. And then asking for recommendations from locals. So if you go to a restaurant, ask them what's your favorite, what do you recommend, and because then people get to share a bit about their own culture with you, and it's exciting for people to talk about themselves, but also talk about what they're proud of, because French people are proud about their bread, they're proud about their cheese and their wine, and every region is known for something different. So
So what would you tell someone who wants to go to France? Like what's a good amount of time to spend in France? And then, like, what kind of accommodation options are there? And then you did touch a little bit on, like, the northern part, middle part, and, like, southern part. But, like, what's a good time of year?
You can really go in any season, I think. Obviously, winter, you have the Alps, so you have really good skiing. I took my family last March, and it was amazing. And you can go by train from the Paris airport, like, direct train to the Alps, like, literally, and then a funicular or a cable car. It's really nice. So winter, obviously, skiing is really nice. Spring, you have, flowers blooming everywhere, which is great. It's really good for like city trips, I would say, spring. For the amount of time, normally when people come visit me, it's probably 10 days or so, but I think that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
2 weeks, I think, is really nice. I think you could spend, you could explore lots of different parts. For summertime, you have the south of France, which is like amazing. Really blue waters, like rocky cliffs. Beware though, a lot of beaches are like pebble or stone beaches. Yeah. They do have sand beaches, don't get me wrong, but it's just like
very rocky.
Yeah, it's rocky. So bring your
water shoes.
Yeah. And the water in the south of France is warm. During the summer, it's the Mediterranean, but when you get to the west coast, so, they have the whole coastline on the west, that water is generally still cold during the summer. I mean, you can swim in it. It's doable. I actually haven't been, but this is what people tell me.
It's not bath water.
Yeah, it's not like what we have in Virginia, no.
Let's talk about Belgium. So you've been living here for a couple of years now.
Yeah, 3 now, yeah.
How was that transition?
It's kind of funny because I moved here because of Corona, as we say here, or COVID.
That's what we say.
And so my first year basically here in Belgium, it was like straight lockdown. It's very different here. It's so I was living in the mountains, so it was pretty, hilly-eyed mountains. Here's, it's hilly because, we bike everywhere, so we get a good workout.
I was about to correct her because they do bike everywhere and right outside. I'm looking at a massive hill that I have to bike up and down. So,
but it's not like mountains. It's just like small hills. But with the bike you feel it. And then it's mainly, other than that, it's fairly flat. So they bike here, which is a big difference. In France, it's a lot of walking, public transport. They do bike, but here in Belgium, it's really the infrastructure is made for biking. And then the food is really different. French cuisine is sort of just like an art. And they're very proud of that. Belgians have they have good local dishes, obviously, and they have waffles and fries and chocolate, which are great. But the atmosphere around food is different. But generally all over Europe, you have this like slow food concept where it's sitting down at the table, eating a really long meal of multiple hours and drinking and sharing and whatever. This is very common. So fast food restaurants, like, they exist, right? We have McDonald's, but they're not... it's not the norm. So it's a very different culture. French people, I would say, are a bit more like loud, like or expressive. That's a good word. Expressive. So I'm living in the Flemish part of Belgium. So there are basically 3 regions of Belgium. You have a French speaking part, you have a Flemish or a Dutch speaking part, and you also have a German speaking part. It's very, very small.
And in this country, I do want to give you guys kind of a reference. It is about 1/3 the size of Virginia.
But it means that because it's so small, that's super easy to get around. Skylar took a day trip, for example, the other day. She did 2 really big tourist destinations, Bruges and Ghent.
Beautiful.
They're really beautiful, like typical Flemish architecture. The sun was out, so that helped too.
Talk about the weather for a second.
Oh my gosh. In the winter, we have short days, but in the summer, we have very long days. Yeah. But because in the winter, short days, if it's a short day and it's cloudy and rainy, you don't see a lot of sun, because cloudy and rainy is sort of the average in the winter. Yeah. But the summer, for example, last summer, it was so warm. It was like, 80, 90 degrees. They don't have air conditioning, but there's more of a cooler breeze. It's not as humid as in Virginia. Yeah. So 80, 90 degrees is actually like, feels a little less. Or when to come to Belgium, I would say certainly summer months, because we
get that sun.
Yeah, we have more sun. The sun sets at like 10. Christmas time is also a great time to come because Christmas markets are huge, and we're so close. So we're on the border with Germany. So the border of Germany is only an hour and a half. So an hour and a half from where I live in a town called Leuven, and it's a little bit east of Brussels. And an hour and a half from where we are is Aachen, which is a really nice old medieval town. Munchau, like all these tiny places with really beautiful Christmas markets. We have a good Christmas market. Also, all over Belgium, you have them too. So Christmas and summer would be the ideal times. And spring is really nice because all the flowers are blooming. So tulip fields are accessible from here, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like in the Netherlands. And then we did the Hallerbos, which is like these little tiny bluebell flowers. I think they're called hyacinths in English.
I call them bluebell.
Yeah, it's a nicer name. And the forest floor is covered, and so we're also a big tourist destination.
But it's really special because it's only for, max 2 weeks. And also, like, if it's super rainy, then they'll close up and go away. And also, if the trees have already sprung and they're not getting sunlight, then they also close up. So we got super lucky. One thing that I've been to Belgium, this is my second time, and I fell in love with, more of the outside around Brussels. Like, Brussels is a big city, just like any city, like, there's a lot of people, a lot of things to do. But when you get to the countryside of Belgium, it looks like a fairy tale. And I will say that the people are super nice, and about like 90% of the people are gonna speak English too.
Like perfect
English. Yeah. So they just want to like show you around and are super nice and are helpful. So yeah, Belgium is definitely worth a visit if you're coming across the ocean. I don't think you would need like 10 days in Belgium. You could probably like split it up, for a Christmas market in Germany, or even Paris is like an hour and a half by train. And also, one thing to note too is that the train system and public transportation here is incredible. You don't need to like fly from Brussels to Paris. You can hop on a train and it'll cost you like half the price. And then if you are traveling with luggage, it's a lot easier because you don't have to pay for what do they use here? Kilograms. Which a lot of the airlines here will charge.
So training is the best, and it's long distance trains that are fast speeds are like crazy. Like I said, my family came last year. We went from Brussels to the Alps to go skiing. I was like 6 hours on the train, but we literally like got there and we were in the mountain, at the slope. So a
lot of the trains will also have Wi-Fi, and you have tables, and it just the time. Yeah, a restaurant. Like if the time passes so quickly. We've spent a lot of time on the trains recently, and if you would like to do some longer trips, like months, there is the Eurorail pass for Americans that is incredible, and I'm happy to teach anyone who wants to learn about the Eurorail pass as well.
Yeah, super worth it. Train travel is definitely highly recommend train travel. Yeah.
Well, Anna, if you could give any traveler in the States like one bit of information or encouragement to travel, what would you say?
That's tough. I guess just to do it. Like if you feel like if you are like, I want to like, experience something new, or I feel like stuck where I'm at home, like experiencing other cultures is so, I think it like can open your mind, and you just like, I mean, even if especially if you're a solo traveler, I mean, you just have the opportunity to meet so many people. But put your fears aside and just hop on.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us. And I will talk to you guys soon about a different country. I'll be headed to Italy next. See you then. Nice. Cheers.
Cheers. Wonderful coffee.
Wonderful coffee. That's funny.
Wonderful coffee memories. That's cute. Wonderful coffee memories.